Rachel from Hello Cervix. So this is part 3 of my story because I realised after friends had watched my video there's a few things that I missed out. So this is more kind of I'd say my kind of the emotional spiritual journey of cancer, which I know a lot of people resonate with. If you follow people who share their cancer stories, they end up kind of having quite a deep spiritual life in whatever way calls to them. Some people go very deep into their Christianity, feeling supported by the Bible, feeling supported by their church, what it is, whatever it is for people. But going right back to the start, when I was diagnosed, I was still incredibly angry and absolutely full of rage about certain situations that had happened in my life. So there was a lot of forgiveness that I needed to do, forgiving other people, forgiving myself, and it took me a while to get to that place. I knew that was what I needed to do, and I had friends that were very good at pointing it out to me, and I was literally just telling them where to go, because it was just like, I cannot do any more than what I'm doing. And forgiveness really has to happen at a time when you're pretty much on your knees, and I really had to get to that place when I was really ready. And there's still layers, there's always layers of forgiveness and self-love, and of course the Miracles has really helped me with that, and Marianne Williamson's book Everyday Miracles. There's that, just having that spiritual practice of kind of opening up, just really connecting with the heart energy, opening up, and that was one of the things that's been the biggest for me, is this kind of real cracking open of my heart. I spent so many years doing womb work, and just always using that heart womb meridian, which is there, but the focus was always more on the womb and the earth, and being embodied, and really being a kind of bleeding, birthing, embodied woman, and I'd kind of forgotten all my spiritual practices. I was still doing some spiritual practices, but what's changed is that's what's changed. And it's that something, when you get a cancer diagnosis and you're faced with death, we've got a choice. Are you going to choose life, or are you going to choose death? And that was one of the questions that I really sat with, especially after reading A Year to Live, which is an amazing book, and I recommend it to anyone, because none of us know how long we've got. But it's like, you really have to think about, where do we sabotage ourselves in life? Where do we live as if we've got a death wish? Where are we kind of almost living in misery? Whether it's the misery of addictions or drama. It's like all of that. I was so addicted to drama. That's been one of the biggest things that I've let go of this year. That was part of the forgiveness, actually, that those people that I needed to forgive, I was still entwined in the story and in the drama, and I suddenly got to this place of like, it's none of my business. It's none of my business what they're doing. And actually, it's like, what they're doing doesn't affect me anyway. It's how I'm thinking about it that affects me. And really kind of, my mantra for the last sort of 18 months, maybe even 2 years now, has been, not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't need to get involved in that drama. If someone tries to pull me into their story, I just go, it's none of my business. It's none of my business what your ex does. It's none of my business what so-and-so said to so-and-so. And it's none of your business either. It's like, that gossip, that kind of addiction to drama just is gone. That's just gone, so, and that kind of victim mentality that so many of us just have that, they did that to me, so that's why I feel like this. Well, anyone who would had someone do that to them would feel like this. And I love that I was watching Dolores Cannon over the Christmas holidays, her audience with Dolores Cannon, and she just has this bit where she just goes, so what if you were abused? So what if you were an addict? So what if that happened to you? Let it go. Let go of the story. Move on. All you've got is now. So it's choosing to be completely open to life, to completely love life, to have every day as an adventure. Really, making that choice to completely change. And on a kind of a more spiritual kind of level, it was, making that choice for chemotherapy, which no one thought I would do. I didn't think I would do that, but I chose to see the chemotherapy as the right medicine for me, as healing medicine. When it went into my veins, I saw it as golden light going into my veins, healing me, going into every cell, clearing every cell, burning away everything that didn't know was no longer needed. I also chose not to use any of the violent language that is connected with cancer, so that fighting cancer, battling with cancer, oh, she lost her fight to cancer, all of that is just the wrong language. And a friend of mine showed me a book by Lynn Taggart recently, and they'd done experiments on cancer in petri dishes, and a bit like Dr. Emoto's work where you speak words to water, they were speaking these words to the cells, and they were using those words that, the fighting and the battle and the cancer spreading. Whereas when they use the words come into alignment with the natural order, come back to your natural state, come back to the natural growth, those were the words that worked. So using a different language around cancer. And also I decided not to to really try hard not to use my cancer, the cancer. I mean, some people don't even use that word, but then people don't know what you're talking about. So I decided that I would use that word. But I also, I've talked about, the connection that I felt reconnecting with Mary and the Rosary, and, whenever I went into hospital. So I had my chemotherapy meditation, which you can download from HemiSync, where it talks about, this medicine has been made exactly for you. This is your prescription, this is your healing medicine. I also would see my chemotherapy day as a retreat day. So I'd, take all my nice juices and things into hospital with me. They had nice comfy chairs. I'd also take my laptop and I'd watch inspiring videos, or I'd listen to meditations. I'd take my journal. So, it's like really treating it as a like almost like a spa day. And I would always feel Mother Mary holding that chemotherapy and putting healing light into that chemotherapy. I always see so many angels in hospitals, but that was one of the things that, although the first time I went in I was like, that's golden light, I'm seeing it's golden light going in, then I felt this presence come in, and I felt Mary coming in very strongly, and Jesus, and I felt continued wrapped in that cloak of Mother Mary throughout my healing. And then of course afterwards, treating those days where you don't feel so good after chemotherapy as kind of rest and retreat days. I'd always kind of used my cycle as a retreat. When I had my moon time, that was my retreat day, my rest day. So treating that as recovery and rest, and putting in my treatment. So going to see my acupuncturist, seeing those needles going in with angels standing around me, angels pouring their loving energy into those meridians that were opening up with the needles. Constantly putting in light, light and love, connecting with the earth, connecting with nature. The first year of my diagnosis, I was any opportunity to just sit on the earth, connect with our mother. So there was also, I was meditating quite a lot, and using Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, his Blessing the Energy Centers, really beautiful one, his walking meditations, and a lot of them he says, so if you've created that contact with Source today, ask for guidance, ask for synchronicity, ask for coincidences, and they were just everywhere. I just felt completely guided every step of the way. There were so many angel numbers every single time I looked at a clock or a phone or a computer, or the number of emails in my inbox, whatever it was. There was like 111, 222, 333, 313, 212, over and over, which just made me kind of go, you're okay, you're on the right path, talking with friends and really connecting in with that 5D energy of love and compassion, being in my heart, really just, doing breath work. The biggest, the biggest lesson for me has been surrender, just surrendering and getting to the point where you're almost kind of surrendering, just going, if I'm meant to die, I'm meant to die. If this is the day I'm going to die, or if this is what I'm going to, if this is what's going to kill me, there's nothing I can do about it. So I might as well just surrender. But in that surrendering, there's also a choice of like, well, while I'm here, I'm going to make the most of it, and I'm going to see life as an adventure. And I think I mentioned before, it's like every day, kind of, I wake up and I put in my headphones and I do a healing meditation of some sort, or I'll listen to an inspirational podcast. And then when I get out of bed, I'm kind of like, okay, just for today, guide me. How can I be of service today? Thy will be done. And every single day, like yesterday, I spent an hour and a half on the phone to a friend of mine who found a lump. Today, I spent about half an hour on the phone with a woman whose sister's been diagnosed. Just, it seems to be what I can do now is just reassure people, just give them a bit of reassurance and just say, it's all going to be okay. And it will be okay, whatever. And I've always, ever since doing Reiki, I think 20 years ago, nearly, my teacher said, God never gives you anything that you can't handle. And I've absolutely felt that. It's kind of like whatever comes, it's kind of like, okay, now I'm dealing with this. Okay, now I'm dealing with this. And I know for other people, they're kind of like, oh, how are you? And oh, it must be so hard living with cancer. And it's just like, I'm just living my life. My life is the same as your life. Every day I'm doing the same things that you do. It's like, I'm not constantly going, oh my God, I've got cancer. Oh my God, and that's the victim mentality. But no one can know what it's like until they're in those shoes. And I really pray that, none of you have to experience that. But it's a bit like when, a family member dies, or I remember, my friend's dad dying and kind of going, oh, I'm really sorry. Oh, it's so awful. And I didn't know what that felt like I didn't know what grief felt like until it happened to me, until my dad died. And then I could go, wow, now I really know what that person went through. And it's the same with cancer. And, I remember after the first couple of rounds of chemo, I was just like, God, hats off to people who, elderly people, or children, or it's hard. It's a hard drug to take, and it's a hard choice to make as well. Constantly making difficult decisions about what's the next step, which is why for me, being really in tune with myself and in tune with spirit has stood me in good stead. So that's why I always encourage people to meditate and listen to their bodies. Even all the years of womb work, it was like, listen to your womb. I mean, your womb, your heart, your higher self, same. If you've got that guidance, it will stand you in good stead when you have a crisis, whatever that crisis is. And I just feel so grateful that, in my teens, my mum gave me Louise Hay to read. I was doing meditation 17, 18, yoga, started doing yoga when I was 18. I had all those tools as a foundation for my recovery. So, and I've always believed, and I've said it quite a lot, healing is an inside job. I mean, I think you can take all the pills and all the supplements and eat all the good food, but if you're still angry and resentful and have that victim mentality, not a lot's going to change. You have to change your life. You really have to change your life. It's that surrendering to change, surrendering to love, opening to love, surrendering to change, making sure things are different. That complete acceptance and seeing medicine wherever you can. I mean, I've just been out for a walk. I sat in the woods and the sun was beaming down on me, and I was just like, sunlight is medicine, fresh air is medicine. Imagining that sunlight in every single cell in my body, breathing in the fresh air of the woods, feeling that air, that oxygen going into my body as medicine in my body, sitting on the earth, feeling the energy of our mother underneath me as healing energy. Every single thing, use it. It's like, it's all healing, grab it. Everything that can be used to heal, use it all. Just keep going with it. So yeah, I've come, from being this really angry, resentful, unforgiving person to, I hope, you know, a softer person. I saw someone recently that I hadn't seen for a few years, and she kind of looked at me and went, "Oh, you're really tiny." And I just said, "Oh, I think I had a big presence before. I think there was some, you know, there was this kind of real warrior woman, and you know, I would hold that as a presence. And obviously, I've lost a bit of weight, and I look a bit different, but there is something that's kind of softened in me. And well, I think that's the journey of cancer. And also, you know, another friend sort of said to me, yeah, there's just, yeah, there's, she was almost like, you know, I almost feel like I don't recognize you. There's this quietness about you, but also, you know, I can see that you're happy and you're enjoying life and you're really going for it. But in a different, you know, your energy is just really different to how it used to be, and so it should be, and absolutely so it should be. You know, it's kind of, I'm not having to, I'm not teaching at the moment. I'm not sitting, you know, holding circles, holding workshops. I'm not having to be in that persona, which I, you know, I don't think it was a persona. I don't, you know, I'd like to think that I'm as authentic as I can be, but there's almost an element of like, you have to hold that to do it. You have to step into, you know, I had days when, you know, I would say I'm an introvert, or I'm a kind of extrovert introvert. You know, if I'm in a group and I'm holding something like that, I can step into that role and I can do it. But I also love coming home and having that peace and quiet and being by myself. I'm really happy in my own company. So there was something that I would have to work at to be that person, to be that kind of bigger personality, the, you know, the person in the room holding the space. So the, you know, I've actually quite enjoyed the lockdown, and that I'm not having to do that so much, and being able to do this to kind of just share my wisdom. I don't know who's watching, you know, it's not live. It's like, you know, this is just me and this is my story. And I really hope that, you know, my wish is that my story is going to really help people and inspire them and give them hope. Yeah, that's all we can all hope for, really, isn't it? That we kind of just inspire one person with our story, and help someone as we go along our own journey. So yeah, I think I think that's it. So yeah, just healing, healing. Take the healing wherever you can, wherever it's offered. If it's, whether it's sunlight, fresh air, sitting on the earth, a massage, acupuncture, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, whatever it is, you can choose to bring it into your body with love and light and healing energy. And that, yeah, that's, I guess, one of the other things that I had to change my belief, because I had this chemotherapy killed my dad. You know, he got cancer and he didn't seem to get ill from it until he had chemotherapy. It hasn't been the case for me. I had to really change my belief. So that's not the only belief I've had to change. I've had to change quite a lot of my beliefs. So it's being open to change and grow, just constantly. It's just like, oh, really, I'm going. Oh, I've got another one. Oh yeah, I think there was another thing I was going to say, that I, you know, this friend of mine asked me if I was terrified when I got diagnosed, and I said no. And I said it's perfectly normal to be terrified. I think it's really normal to be terrified, but I just have always had this rebellious streak in me, or this kind of, this, I don't know what it is, that just goes, I can do this. Give me more. I'm a warrior. I can take this on. Yeah. What more are you going to throw at me, life? What more are you going to throw at me, life? And I'm not doing that anymore. It's like, okay, I've had enough. Can I have it a bit easy now, please? I'd like a simpler life now, please. And that's my manifestation for them, for 2021, is just, you know, we moved to Wales to have a simpler life, and it got really complicated. And I'd like to go back to that dream of just, you know, having things a bit easier, and actually having the kids out of school, hunkering down as a family, has really simplified our lives. So, you know, that's my wish for 2021, is to just keep things being simple. So I'm going to leave it there now. Lots and lots of love to you all. Thank you so much for sharing my journey with me.